launching the Main Street pop-up program. So there are 30 vacant storefronts along Main Street. We want to activate those storefronts with small businesses. We want to make sure that there are feet on the streets, that they are supporting the other businesses in the area, adding vibrancy, adding activity to that space. So we're going to put out a call for applications for folks who maybe they're not quite ready to sign that 5-year lease. We're going to do short-term leases in the spaces. So as short as 3 months, up to 5 years, if they want to do that. There will be some financial incentives. So we're really encouraging any entrepreneurs that are looking to branch out, looking to take that next step, to go to downtowncincinnati.com/pop-up program, where they can apply, and hopefully we'll start to activate those storefronts and get some positive activity down in that area.
Cool.
So I think that's all I got.
All right, good deal. Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning. I'm Kevin Ellington. If we haven't met, I'm the Cincinnati market leader at Rickard Graydon. This actually started in OTR on Main Street, as Joe was talking about. We've got a commitment to the community, diversity, equity, inclusion, and we're happy to be there today. You're going to hear from someone who's instrumental in some of the things we're doing, but we have stuff right hot off the press today. All right. Our next introduction on her first day of work as the new OTR Chamber Executive Director is Julie Clayton. Come on up.
Thank you so much. Like Ken said, this is sort of my first day. I'm technically not starting until June 19th, but
Overachiever. All right.
Right. But my background is basically all of my roles have been in leadership roles, but my main focus has been in events, sales, and fundraising. I was with Buskin Bakery as well as the Aquarium, Dave & Buster's. I'm a native Cincinnatian. I grew up here. I graduated from the School for the Creative and Performing Arts in OTR before it was really OTR. So I'm dating myself, went to school, came back here, raising my family here and everything because I love our city. I think our city has everything. So for me, this opportunity is just an extension of who I am. So I'm really excited to meet all of you. I have a laundry list of things that I'm going to be working on. So I think next week I might actually do kind of a soft start to where I can just get in, kind of get my feet wet a little bit before I actually start, just so that I can kind of get the lay of the land basically. But I don't have cards or anything because like I said, this is my first. Yes. So if you give me just, a couple of weeks, reach out to me, please, at the chamber. And I'd love to meet with any of you that would love to talk, but look for some great things to come from the OTR chamber.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great
Thank
job. Thank you. OTR Main Street. JB, come on up. So JB Brown is, we hired a full-time Saturday Hoops coordinator. So introduce yourself and talk about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name is JB. I've been in Cincinnati my entire life. Grew up here as well. So basically what I do is in Saturday Hoops, I am like the program coordinator. So I'm the end all be all. So if you want to be connected with Saturday Hoops, come to me and I'll get you plugged in. If you want to volunteer to any of our 4 locations now, please let me know and I'll give you guys the ins and all be all. But like we have some cool things coming up though. Summer Hoops is popping, it's growing, and guys, be excited for that because we're connecting with kids, and that's our main focus, connecting with kids. So Chris Nieto as well, if you need to coordinate anything with him, connect with him because he's our Summer Hoop lead, and get back to me, and then I'll get you guys taken away. Or if you guys know anyone that wants to spend time with the pool this summer, please let us know. We need kids to spend time with the pool. Seriously, we have a lot of kids at the pool, and man, we need volunteers. So bring them down. But thank you, kid.
Great. Original Timers Division.
Old Timers Division.
I'm in it. Yeah, so we started a swim team a while back called the Rhinos for the Saturday Hoops and Over the Rhine kids who can't swim because a lot of rhinos can't swim. Same thing goes for us. Is Raven on today? Do we have her? Raven, are you there?
Hello. Hi.
Raven, tell us about Juneteenth.
Hi, yes. Raven Fulton here. Hello. Good morning, everyone. I am co-director for Juneteenth Block Party for Plus Noir. Juneteenth Block Party presented by Fifth Third Bank. We're excited. We're almost there. It's on June 17th on Saturday, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. on the banks on Freedom Way. We have DJs, live performances, food trucks. Our partners are activating a bunch of different interactive activations. Please come down, bring the whole family. You can register on paloozanoir.com, or you can go on our Instagram, and our link is also in our bio. Please come down, bring the whole family. It's going to be an amazing time. It's our 4th year. We are so excited to come back. It's going to be a great time. Come celebrate the abolishment of slavery with us.
Great, thanks, Raven. A number of times here, so it's becoming quite a celebration. I know our firm has recognized that it's a formal holiday, so it's really becoming a positive in the community. David Gaines, we got another one hot off the press today. David's is with La Terza Coffee, but has a book.
Yeah, so I've owned La Terza Coffee for 10 years. We're a local coffee roaster here in Cincinnati, really trying to empower that third place independent coffee shop. It's a community gathering space. So I love coffee, but the reason why I do the coffee is because the social mission that coffee can so naturally have. Here's our direct trade relationship with a woman-owned farm in Honduras, and voila, schools get built. And there's a number of things. So my passion is how businesses and all businesses can have social impact. I'm the board chairperson of a national organization called Social Enterprise Alliance, where we help nonprofits, for-profits. How can we help you deepen your social impact and increase your profitability? So I wrote a book about that too. And it's my story of La Terza and how we can have impact. And at the end of the day, I think what we're trying to do is how do we measure the impact in our supply chain, in our employees, and with our customers, with our community, with our competition. I love that there's a bunch of roasters that are all trying to change the world and make it a better place with the environment and self-care. So that's what the book's about. It comes out June 6th. You can buy it now on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy your books. There's a launch party next week, June 6th at Mad Tree from 4 to 7. So if you want to come party and hang out, Mad Tree's doing some amazing social initiatives, B Corp certification, that kind of stuff too. So thanks for having me.
All right.
Let me share.
Great, thanks, Dave. For those of you who are new, the goal of the Bridge Series is to stop our races and shine a light on the many good things going on in our community. And your charge is to go out and share that good news. So we've had some quick hits today. We've got Erin Mullen from Adopt a Class here as well. So if you haven't been involved with Adopt a Class, be sure to check her out. Alfonso, who's always here with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, meeting the new OTR Chamber of Commerce Executive Director. So that's really what it's all about. Want to get into the program?
Yeah, so first up, we are going to have Darren Reedus, who's Senior Vice President and Executive Director of the Minority Business Accelerator. Darren,
Yes, sir.
come on up.
All right. Everyone, thrilled to be here. A little bit of a change in terms of title. We've had some positive reorg happening at the chamber. So presently I serve as the Chief Executive Officer of the Minority Business Accelerator. It's now become its own entity, much like Ready, Cincinnati, and others. So we've kind of officially sort of spun out of the chamber, but we're still an affiliate of the chamber. I still have the chamber's HR and back office and marketing and all of that. And part of that was due to the primary news of the day is the fact that we've launched an equity capital fund. And as part of that equity capital fund, it was determined that it was a good idea to sort of create our own legal entity to manage that. So the fund we're super excited about. We're in the process of trying to pull $100 million together. So wish me luck. About 25 million committed thus far. Super exciting in that this is really trying to capitalize on what is now being commonly referred to as the silver tsunami. So when you think about, silver hair, kind of baby boomers aging, the portion of which that own privately held companies, depending on the report that you read, represents about $10 trillion of business assets changing hands over the next decade plus. And you're already seeing big private equity funds trying to take advantage of that opportunity. So what we try to do at the Minority Business Accelerator, which has now been around for 20 years, as our sort of next level of growth and impact, really trying to establish this fund to enable more entrepreneurs of color to be able to acquire companies as part of this whole silver tsunami. The core of our work has always been and remains today, trying to establish and scale up larger scale
African-American and Hispanic firms to do business in the supply chains of our corporate community. One of the challenges has always been, especially in certain sectors, the lack of larger scale minority-owned companies. So this whole notion of being able to acquire in to already established companies, already of size and scale, is just an enormous opportunity. So we don't always have to grow companies organically from the ground up when there's now $10 trillion of assets changing hands over the next decade plus. So in a nutshell, what we're trying to do with the fund, think about a typical deal, and I'll walk through a basic sort of $5 million transaction. Let's say it's a company selling for $5 million. Let's say the seller takes a note back for, say, 10% of that, so 500,000. Let's say the bank provides 70% of the deal, so 3.5 million. So you've got 4 million into the deal and this $1 million equity component that the buyer's got to bring to the table. And that's the reality of why a lot of entrepreneurs of color are unable to complete that purchase. And so our fund will really partner up with that minority buyer, either as another equity partner in the deal or providing non-dilutive some equity-like financing. But the goal is to complete and shore up the equity component of that transaction. That's on top of our historical work of scaling companies up organically, but this is really this super exciting opportunity. And so by design, check my timer, by design, it is inherent in terms of the need for collaboration. So this is a great example of what we're trying to do in terms of connecting to just deal flow in the community, right? And so what we're trying to do as part of series like this is position the Minority Business Accelerator to become more top of mind to our region's attorneys and CPAs and investment bankers and folks that are doing deals on a regular basis, so that we can be a conduit for a broader pool of buyers that we vet and then bring to the table for buying transactions. So we're super excited about that. There's so much that I can share in that regard. I'm doing my time, okay?
Good.
So I'll share a couple of examples of the work that we're doing over and above the capital, which of course is a big piece, but really trying to cultivate, if you will, the sales side and the buy side. So the sales side, as I mentioned, really trying to connect to all of you, the deal makers in the community. We've been embraced by Graydon and others, really just trying to connect to those that are working with small mid-cap companies that often don't have succession plans. One additional piece on the sales side that I find our deal makers are really excited about, so stay with me on this one. So we operate in the world of supplier diversity. For those that are not super close to that, large corporations are always, especially now more than ever, trying to diversify their supply chains by doing more business with women and people of color. And so, but there's challenges in that regard with respect to especially larger scale companies owned and led by women and people of color. And so given that reality, when we're talking to our corporate partners, there's invariably gaps in their supply chain. We take those same gaps which inform potential acquisitions. So let's say, for example, and this creates a unique earnout that I'll talk about real quick. So let's say it's a $10 million manufacturing firm. That's a mainstream company that becomes a $10 million minority-owned manufacturer. Our ability to leverage all these corporate relationships regionally and nationally, and then post-acquisition, drive revenue opportunities to that company and grow it from 10 million to 20, 30, 40 or better, the seller of that company can ride that upside via an earnout. And that is a unique earnout because you sold the company to a minority buyer. And so that is exciting for all. So the seller, I like to say, bare minimum, we bring more qualified buyers to the table. But optimally, we also have a unique earnout opportunity for that seller as well. And so much more that I'm delighted to share. We've got some great work happening with a group called Black Achievers in town, that has gone from 4,000 members to 110,000 over the past 18 months. The Gehring Center is working with us for a portion. Right now, there's 400 Black achievers that are going through cohorts of training at the Gearing Center, transitioning from corporate America to entrepreneurship to buy companies. So when I say we're cultivating, we're cultivating. And so thank you so much for the time. Hopefully that helps a little bit. And thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up, we're gonna have Alyssa Yancey of A Picture's Worth.
I'm so short, I'm gonna jump. Act to follow. So I don't know if there's gonna be anything shown behind me, but if not, that's fine.
Not right.
Awesome. All right, so, well, hi, I'm Alyssa Yancey and co-founder and president of A Picture's Worth. And I just want to thank everyone for, especially and Alexia, for giving me this space and opportunity to talk to you all. I have a background in teaching and in journalism, so I have like interactivity is sort of my jam. So I'm going to ask you all a question now. This is a lovely opportunity. I have to keep notes because I get very excited about what I'm able to do now. And I want to use a first couple minutes of what I'm talking about with you here is to talk about, imagine, close your eyes for a second, and imagine a cartoon, a single frame cartoon. And in that cartoon, there's a rhinoceros. Look at you all, you're such good students. I see some of you with your eyes open. Close them. Okay, there's a single frame cartoon and there's a rhinoceros that's an artist. And in front of the rhinoceros is doing a beautiful painting of this elephant that is supine, I think is the right word, like a French lady, say, posing for this beautiful portrait. And behind the rhinoceros is this wall full of all these amazing pieces of art that the rhinoceros has done in the past. So think about that for a minute, okay? And what that painting of the elephant might look like. So why am I talking about an animal cartoon? You can open your eyes. Why am I talking about an animal cartoon? So I was a journalism professor at the University of Cincinnati for more than a decade, and I practiced journalism and taught journalism all over the country in colleges and universities. And in my whole life, I found there's no better way to explain my current understanding of the concept of objectivity than that one single cartoon frame. So think about this rhinoceros looking into the world. What might you see in the art that the rhinoceros includes or is creating, right? So the pictures of all around, the picture of the elephant, everything in there has a certain perspective that a rhinoceros alone in the animal kingdom probably has. What does a rhinoceros have? We talked about rhinos. I was thinking it's so appropriate. What is a rhinoceros? What thing does a rhinoceros have on its face that makes it distinct?
Horn.
A big horn. So when the rhinoceros looks out into the world, what does it always see? A big horn, right? So every piece of art that this rhinoceros creates has what in the middle of it? A big horn. So according to that rhinoceros, is that rhinoceros creating a real picture of that rhinoceros's world?
Oh, I know.
100%. It's what the rhinoceros sees, right? And I say that because we all have our perspectives. Is the horn a good thing for the rhinoceros? It's evolved to have this horn. Why? Protects it, right? It's good for it in many ways. But then what I like to say is there's a flip side to everything, right? And the flip side to that horn is, guess what? There are things the rhinoceros can't see because the horn is in the way. So the idea and what I've learned, the rhinoceros's reality is shaped by its horn. It's an important element of the rhinoceros, and at the same time, it limits it. So it helps the rhinoceros to survive. Bear with me for a minute. And at the same time, it shapes what the rhino sees and importantly, what it doesn't see. So why does this horn matter to us? You say it doesn't at all. And what does it have to do with that journalistic standard of objectivity? I'm here to tell you, guess what? Punchline, we all have horns. Those horns are shaped by where we were born, where we went to school, what field trips we took, what field trips we didn't take. No shade, this is just the reality of who we are as humans. Are you with me? So we all have horns. Those horns shape us, and like the rhino, they give us strengths, they give us lots of good ways that we interact in the world. But guess what else they do? They also limit what we see. So they make the ideal of objectivity impossible. It's just nature. It's not on purpose. And at their best, they protect us. And at the same time, they can keep us from recognizing solutions to problems and the kinds of connections that can enrich our lives. Sometimes they can even keep us from seeing our shared humanity. So we're blocked, not by choice, but by the nature of who we are and what we bring to this moment today, to everybody in this room. So it's very relevant. So there's one big but. Once we recognize what our horns are, own them, acknowledge them in our work and in our lives, we don't have to stay blocked. So that rhinos, here's a fancy thing, dominant world narrative, right? Is that everything has a big pointy structure in the middle of it, right? That's just the rhino's reality. It's what that rhino centers in every story, every painting, and every turn. So at a picture's worth, what am I doing? There we go. We understand and acknowledge that that's an automatic process that every creature has. And we understand too that all narratives change based on who and what we put in the center of them and who is left out of them. We understand that all of us see what we see because of who we are as people, and that's a wonderful thing, right? But if we want to see anything different, if we want to connect across divides, we have to be intentional. We have to slow it down, like you're all doing today. In other words, we have to change our narratives. And if you have those little flashlights, be sure you pick them up on the way out. It says our motto, which is change the narrative and you can change the world. At a picture's worth, that's our mission. We've created a two-pronged approach. I just want to tell you about them because those are two ways specifically that everybody in this room can be engaged. The first part is teaching folks like you and your staffs why narrative change is essential if we want to create a better connected and less divisive world. Who would like that? Me, all right? So we have a 90-minute learning session. It's called narrative literacy training. Then we follow that up with opportunities for your team to come together and talk about horns, right? And talk about how to see beyond them, around them, and how to make the most impact possible in the world we live in today. Our second prong is when we go out and work. This is my favorite part. I mean, I love working with y'all, don't get me wrong, but it's working in and alongside and for community. So we work with communities who are often marginalized in the traditional media narratives. And we go out and we say, you are the experts in your lived experience. Why should other people outside of your world be defining who you are? So that we train them in this methodology we've developed over way too many years and studying way too many disciplines I don't want to get into now, to gather and share stories responsibly and short stories that are accurate representations of their values, their strengths, as well as their struggles. Because I think you will all agree, not one of us deserves to be defined by our worst moments, by our worst days, our worst decisions, or God forbid, our horns. So that's actually what we are exposed to every day with dominant media narratives, right? Reality TV, reality. We all know it's not real reality, right? Episodes, even Law and Order, which I can no longer watch because it's so, the horns are really big in that show. And we accept all of that because we're used to it. And those are what we call deficit-based narratives. And what they do is they shape our impressions of our neighbors. They shape our decisions about where we want to go, where we want to hang out, who we want to invest in, who we engage in conversations, where we look for answers. So you get the idea. And our world moves fast. We juggle way too much. And being intentional in this way takes time, and it's also work. And you can talk to me or Alexia, who's been a great partner and is on our board and has worked in community alongside me. It's so rewarding. So I invite you to take a look at some examples of the pictures that our neighbors have shared that center their lives and illustrate their values, their light, their strength, their connection to community. And I will bet you couldn't pick out of that group which folks have been arrested, which have been in solitary confinement, which have suffered from addiction, and which are people who are doctors, right? They're all there. And that's the point, right? So finally, no, I'm probably going to, I'm close. I get so nervous, I get so fast. So we call ourselves narrative change agents. I'll give my card. And that's our work as narrative change agents pushes us all to recognize first and foremost this amazing thing. our shared humanity, to see what connects us instead of focusing on what divides us, to leverage our own strengths and values, to shift the way we see one another and our world. So at A Picture's Worth, we believe that working toward narrative literacy helps us expand our line of sight beyond our own horns, helpful as they can be at times, right? And it's not only rewarding and necessary, we make it fun. So I'd love to answer any questions you have, invite you to join us on this narrative change journey. We can train your team, your community group, your kids' schools. My God, I've worked with teachers. It's really helpful to work with teachers because we've all been trained to see certain things in people that may not be their best selves. We worked in Lower Price Hill, Over the Rhine, Walnut Hills. We're working with Roselawn in the West End. We understand it's going to take all of us, everyone in this room included, to do our part in our offices, our neighborhoods, our groups of friends to start to shift the narratives that have for too long limited our potential. So I bet my future on our ability to do that. And thank you for your time and your attention and for the great company. So
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Questions here by text. Darren, this one's for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us a minute or so on, people want to know more about Black Achievers and how that started and how that relates to what you're doing?
So yeah, Black Achievers is an organization founded by a friend of mine named Michael Moore. Michael was a banker at Fifth Third a few years back. Had the idea of just creating a professional networking group for African-American professionals. Was a blank piece of paper a few years ago. I came to the chamber, myself and Jill Meyer at the time, kind of sat down with Michael to kind of map out a game plan. And so super exciting where pre-pandemic, they'd gotten up to about 4,000 members. We actually did a joint grant with them to enable Michael to actually leave Fifth Third to do this work full time, create a team, et cetera. They have over this past year, 2022, have jumped from 4,000 to 6,000 members here locally, but have also now set up 11 chapters in other cities, now 110,000 members. And so what's super exciting about that, and part of our motivation was the fact that so many of our largest minority-owned firms today, the CEOs of those companies in their prior life cut their teeth in corporate America before they decided to hang out their own shingle somewhere and buy a company. You have a lot of former P&Gers and such running companies today. And so the whole idea here was, how do we be more intentional about preparing folks to make that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, hence also the connectivity to the Gehring Center, which is now actually running folks through an 8-week training and an immersion in mergers and acquisitions and the cultural shift from corporate America to entrepreneurship. And so we're vetting and preparing a growing pool of buyers to be on the buying end of this silver tsunami that I was just talking about. So that's the linkage with that organization.
Great, thank you. Good. We'll wrap up here. They'll stick around, talk a little bit more. Be sure if you saw one of the best Blink displays was A Picture's Worth. Right down from Main Street. She could tell you a little bit more about that as well. But we've got a few introductions here today. We had at Rickard Graydon, we had 6 summer clerks start, 3 in Cincinnati, 3 in Columbus, 2 are here today. Esau Walker, Tommy Rogers. Esau has a Rickard Graydon name tag. None of us have that. Spoiled already. Definitely. We also had 3 attorneys start at Rickard Graydon. We had 2 in public subdivisions, Amy Blankenship, Joel Nielsen, and then in real estate, really strong group, we had Laura Perez start as well. So we're anxious to have all of them back. Next month, we're taking off. We take July off. 4th of July always kind of conflicts with the first Thursday or Friday of the month. August is going to be cool. Rickard Graydon has a really strong education group. We're going to be at Mount St. Joseph University. We're going to take the show on the road, introduce the West Siders to the Kenwood people. And we're
They really never met.
When I was in college, I met a guy from the West Side. He said, I never met a non-Catholic until I went to college. It was serious.
talk about a horn.
The large one. And then we're gonna have some programs in September, October, November in the energy area. If you know anyone who's active in that space, Bricker Graydon is really strong in that area. In addition to education, healthcare as well. We met the new CEO of UC Health last night, great guy from Nebraska. He will be on, and we'll enjoy meeting him as well. And then we will have one other one coming up as well. Want to close it out?
Yeah, again, thank you, everybody, for coming, for being on Zoom. Big takeaway. Talk about this today. Talk to one of your coworkers. Talk to a friend. Say, hey, what's the great stuff going on in Cincinnati? This is why we're here. This is not what we get to hear on the news. So I appreciate it if everybody just takes 5 minutes today and talks about these stories. We will follow up with contact information and other things, so you'll actually have in an email, be able to pass that on. So again, thanks for coming. Be positive. Let's keep improving Cincinnati every day.
Great. All right. Thanks, gang. Super job.
Thank you.